I'd almost forgotten about that night. I was 14 when I became friends with a guy from an extremely religious family. He was studying to become an exorcism priest, and he was convinced he could sense things other people couldn't. One night, around 2:30 a.m., he asked me and his friend Tess if we wanted to visit an old prayer building that was open all night. We laughed about it and went. At first, everything was completely normal. Then he suddenly stopped talking. He stared toward the altar and dropped to his knees. Tess looked at me. Her face had completely changed. "It's happening," she whispered. "Don't interrupt him." Then I smelled roses. Not a little. The entire room suddenly smelled like fresh roses, so strong that it almost burned my nose. He started speaking in a language I couldn't recognize. His voice kept changing between whispers and quiet, emotional words. Then he grabbed my hand. He raised it toward the ceiling and looked directly at me. "She says you're going to do great." Before I could even ask who he meant, boom, the building shook. The windows rattled. The lights flickered. Something slammed against the walls hard enough to make us jump. He immediately ran outside. We followed. I looked up. For a few seconds, there was a massive cross-shaped light hanging in the clouds above the building. Then, boom, another impact. He sprinted back inside. When we caught up, he was lying on the floor with his arms stretched straight out. He was crying. His whole body was tense, like he was fighting against something we couldn't see. Tess just stood there, frozen. After several minutes, he suddenly went completely still. He had passed out. We carried him to the car. He barely spoke. "We have to leave," he kept saying. "We have to leave. I'll explain." Then I noticed his hands. There were small cuts and marks on his palms. There were similar marks on his feet and strange, red impressions across his forehead. I asked him what happened. He stared at me. "I was talking to Mary," he whispered. Then he looked away. "She had a message for you." "What message?" He didn't answer. We never spoke about that night again. Even years later, I still can't decide whether we witnessed something supernatural or something none of us understood. But whatever happened in that building, I know I wasn't the only one who saw it.